Chapter 2 The Blue Fire of Stardust Slum. As Kaelen walked along the stardust ore powder-paved road towards the slum, the double sun of critical star domain was slowly sinking into the horizon made of debris. The broken sun on the left is the abandoned starship engine wreckage of eternal order, emitting a cold white light. The dusty sun on the right is a cloud formed by the exhaust gas of the stellar descendants, the wandering fleet, giving off a warm yellow glow. Two kinds of light collided on the tin roof of the slum, casting a blurry gray, just like the people here, always living neither dark nor white in the gap between the two civilizations.
Kaelen, wait!
Amu's voice came from behind. Kaelen turned around and saw the boy running, panting for breath. The soldier in his arms had already woken up and was leaning on Amu's shoulder, his face still as pale as stardust powder.
Why are you back?
Kaelen stopped and unconsciously reached for the canvas bag, which contained the recorder left by her parents, her most precious possession. Amu helped the soldier to sit by the wall, fished out a small cloth bag from his pocket, and stuffed it into Kaelen's hand.
Our leader said, "We can't let you help for nothing. This is Starcore ore. It is 3 times purer than ordinary stardust ore and can power the terminals in your laboratory for half a month."
Kaelen opened the cloth bag. Inside, the stardust ore was giving off a faint blue light, a good thing that he had only heard of in black market legends. This kind of mine can only be found in the remnants of the mother star stellar descendants. Lin Ye was willing to take it out, which clearly shows that he was really in a hurry.
Your leader wants to see me?
Kaelen clutched the cloth bag tightly. Her fingertips could feel the warmth of the Starcore mine. This thing was enough for her to interpret 3 more pages of her parents' recorder. Maybe she could find the key parameters of the twin symbiosis technology. Amu nodded, with a hint of pleading in his eyes.
The leader's daughter also suffered from a similar disease to this brother. It was a genetic defect, and all the herbs in the tribe were useless. He heard that you can repair StarNet fragments and treat data ray injuries, so he wants you to take a look.
Kaelen paused for a moment. The genetic defect of stellar descendants was recorded in her parents' recorder. It was a lingering effect left by the radiation contamination of the gene pool of stellar descendants during the entropy explosion of the Aetherius civilization. This disease is not like data radiation injury that can be temporarily suppressed by fragments. It will gradually gnawing at a person's internal organs, and eventually, even the breath will carry the smell of stardust ore.
I can't cure genetic diseases.
She handed the cloth bag back.
I can only repair fragments and have no knowledge of medicine.
You do?
Amu suddenly grabbed her wrist, his fingertips rubbing against the mixed-race mark on her collarbone.
Old Kwai said that you have your parents' things, which can make the light and shadow of the eternal order warm, and can make the physical bodies of the stellar descendants live longer. The leader said that as long as you can save his daughter, he is willing to lend you the core fragments of the mother star for research.
Kaelen's heart gave a sudden jolt. The core fragment of the mother star, the treasure protected by the stellar descendants' generations, is said to contain the original data of the Aetherius civilization, something she has been searching for 5 years but has never been able to find. Her fingertips began to feel hot again, just like when they were burned by dark matter 3 years ago, with an itchy sensation that she knew was dangerous but couldn't resist touching.
Then take me to see the girl first.
She put the Starcore mine into her bag.
But I can't guarantee it can be cured. I haven't fully understood what I have in my hand yet.
Amu's face lit up all of a sudden. He supported the soldier and led the way in front, his steps as light as if he were treading on stardust clouds, and he kept muttering,
The leader will surely be happy. His daughter is called Stellar Bud. She is only 12 years old and has never seen what her mother star looks like.
Kaelen followed behind, but didn't catch much in her ears. Her mind was filled with footage from her parents' recorder. Her mother was sitting in the laboratory of the Aetheris civilization, with a transparent sphere in front of her, emitting the same blue light as the core fragments of her mother's star. The father stood by the side, holding a pen engraved with a star map, drawing something on the paper and saying, "In this way, the consciousness and the physical body won't fight." If the core fragments of the home star can really be borrowed, perhaps the twin symbiosis technology that the parents failed to complete can be accomplished. At that time, Stellar Bud won't have to die. Those soldiers like Amu won't have to fear data rays, and the people of Critical Star Domain won't have to be fragment people anymore. But as soon as this thought occurred to her, the old scar on her wrist began to ache faintly. She recalled old Kui's words.
Your parents are just too stupid. They wanted to tell the two tribes about the technology, but ended up not even leaving the whole body.
The tin houses in the slum are getting denser and denser, and the roads are getting narrower and narrower. Kaelen saw a child picking up StarNet fragments in the garbage dump, holding a blue light fragment smaller than a fingernail in his hand, and holding it in his arms as if it were a treasure. There was also the shadow of eternal order lingering at the entrance of the alley. The projection flickered on and off as if looking for something. Seeing Kaelen and the others approaching, it quickly hid itself in the shadow.
Is that someone from Orville?
Amu glanced into the shadow and lowered his voice.
Recently, it's been like this. A lot of shadow are wandering around the slums. They say they are checking for abnormal fluctuations, but in fact, they are just looking for an excuse to catch us, the stellar descendants.
He led Kaelen to a larger tin shed.
Here we are. This is where the leader is staying temporarily.
The door of the tin house was modified from the hatch of a starship, with the star map imprint of the Wind Tribe engraved on it. 3 interlaced star dusts represent wind, stars, and people. When Amu pushed open the door, Kaelen heard a soft cough coming from inside, like broken stardust falling onto the iron sheet.
Boss, I've brought Kaelen here.
The light in the room was very dim. There was only one lamp modified from StarNet fragments, emitting a faint blue light. Kaelen saw a man in a black Stellar Descendants military uniform sitting by the bedside, his back straight, like a tree that had stood in the stardust storm for decades. The man's collarbone was engraved with a complete star map of the Wind Tribe. The edges were somewhat worn, probably due to years of touching by hand. This is Lin Ye. When Lin Ye turned around, Kaelen noticed that his eyes were dark brown, like the soil in the ruins of his mother's star, carrying a heaviness that had settled for a long time. His gaze fell on Kaelen's collarbone and lingered for 2 seconds before he spoke, his voice milder than he had imagined.
Are you Kaelen? Old Kui mentioned you to me.
Kaelen nodded and turned her gaze to the girl on the bed. That is Stellar Bud. She lay on the bed, covered with the fur of the stardust beast, her face as pale as paper, but her lips had a faint blue tint, a sign of the deterioration of her genetic defect. She was clutching a small stardust ore in her hand, gently rubbing it with her fingertips. When she saw Kaelen come in, she blinked her eyes, her voice as soft as a mosquito's chirping.
Do you have any luminous fragments?
Kaelen walked to the bedside, fished out a lumen shard from her canvas bag, and handed it to her. When the blue light danced on the fragments, Stellar's eyes suddenly lit up, as if he saw the broken sun and the dusty sun rising simultaneously.
It's so beautiful, just like what Mom said about the sea of the Mother Star.
Lin Ye's Adam's apple moved a little, and he reached out to touch Stellar's head, his movement so gentle that he was afraid of breaking her.
Stellar, let Kaelen take a look, okay?
Stellar nodded and stretched out her arm. Her arms were as thin as the veins of a stardust ore, and beneath her skin could be seen pale blue blood vessels, resembling the patterns of starnet fragments. Kaelen crouched down and gently pressed lumen shard onto her arm. As the blue light seeped into her skin, small ripples formed in Stellar Bud's blood vessels, and her coughing stopped.
How about it?
Lin Ye's voice carried an imperceptible tension. Kaelen withdrew her hand. The light from the fragments was a little dimmer than before.
The energy of the fragments can temporarily suppress the illness, but only lasts for 3 days. To cure it completely, I need to use the technology left by my parents, which can regulate the entropy value in the genes and bring it back to a normal state.
Entropy value?
Lin Ye frowned. Could it be related to the entropy explosion of the Aetherius civilization?
Yes.
Kaelen took out her parents' dash cams from his bag. It was an old metal box covered with starnet fragments and stardust ore stickers.
My parents were researchers of the Aetherius civilization back then, studying how to use technology to balance the entropy of consciousness and the physical body. After the entropy explosion, they stored the research data here, and I'm still interpreting it.
Lin Ye's gaze fell on the recorder. After a long silence, he finally spoke.
What do you want? Star core ore or core fragments of the mother star? As long as you can save Stellar, I can give it to you.
I want you to promise.
Kaelen raised her head and met Lin Ye's gaze.
If the technology works, you should allow me to promote it in Stellar descendants. Not only Stellar, but also many children like her need this technology.
Lin Ye's hand tightly clutched the fur of the stardust beast by the bedside, his knuckles turning pale.
I know what you want to say. Some people in Stellar descendants are afraid of this technology, fearing that it will ruin us just like Starnet did back then. But I'm the father of Stellar and the leader of the Wind Tribe. As long as the tribe can survive, I'm willing to take a gamble.
He got up and walked to the corner of the tin shed, moving open an old wooden box which contained a black cloth bag. When Lin Ye unwrapped the cloth bag, Kaelen saw a pulse-sized crystal with a faint blue light flickering inside. It was a fragment of the core of the mother star, smaller than the sphere his mother was studying in the recorder, but brighter, as if all the light of the mother star had been contained within.
Take it.
Lin Ye handed the fragments to Kaelen.
But you have to come with me to the Stardust Dome of the tribe. There is a stable stardust ore energy source there, which can power your laboratory and also protect you from being found by the people of Orville.
Kaelen took the fragment, and with her fingertips, she could feel the faint vibrations coming from inside, like the heartbeat of her mother star. Just as she was about to speak, she heard a series of rapid footsteps outside, along with the electronic sound characteristic of eternal order light and shadow.
High-concentration dark matter fluctuations have been detected. Repeat. High-concentration dark matter fluctuations have been detected.
Lin Ye's expression changed all at once.
They are from Orville. They've found this place.
Kaelen stuffed the fragments in the recorder into the canvas bag, held Stellar Bud's hand, and ran towards the secret passage at the back of the house. It was used by the slum people to hide things, so narrow that only one person could pass through. The fluorescent patterns of starnet fragments still lingered on the walls. Lin Ye and Amu supported the injured soldier and followed behind. The door of the tin house had been pierced by the data rays of the light and shadow soldiers, making a sizzling sound, like stardust ore burning in fire.
Head for the laboratory.
Kaelen turned around and shouted.
There are dark matter jammers there that can block their scans.
The air in the secret passage was stuffy and hot. Stellar Bud's breathing became increasingly rapid. Kaelen stuffed Lumen Shard into her hand. "Take it, don't be afraid. It'll be here soon." Stellar nodded, tightly grasping the fragments. The blue light flickered in her palm like a tiny star. Kaelen could hear the footsteps of the light and shadow soldiers behind her getting closer and closer, as well as their conversation, all cold electronic sounds, without a hint of emotion.
Target, Kaelen, half-blood, possessing an anomalous dark matter device. Command, capture the target, destroy the abnormal device, and bring it back to StarNet Core for data purification.
At the end of the secret passage, light finally appeared. It was the blue fire of the laboratory. That was an energy lamp made by Kaelen by mixing StarNet fragments and Stardust ore, emitting a warm blue light, just like the light from the core fragments of the mother star. She pushed open the door, helped Stellar Bud into the laboratory, and turned around to assist Lin Ye and the others. However, she saw Amu's arm being swept by data rays, and the wound instantly turned blackish purple, exactly the same as the soldier's injury just now.
Come in.
Kaelen pulled Amu into the laboratory, pressed the red button on the wall, and the laboratory door instantly dropped. The dark matter jammer on the door began to work, making a buzzing sound. The scanning sound of the light and shadow soldiers outside gradually weakened. Lin Ye supported the injured soldier against the wall, while Amu's arm was still bleeding. Stellar Bud was sitting on the chair in the laboratory, and the Lumen Shard in his hand was so dark that it was almost invisible. Kaelen looked at the person in front of him, then at the core fragments of her mother star on the table and her parents' recorder. Suddenly, she felt that the technology in his hand was not hope, but a red-hot soldering iron. She wanted to grasp it, but was afraid that his hands would be burned all over.
They won't let it go.
Lin Ye looked at the laboratory door, his voice deep and low.
What Orville wants is not you, but the technology in your hand. He is afraid that this technology will remind the people of eternal order of emotions and physical bodies, and he is afraid that his StarNet empire will collapse.
Kaelen walked to the table and turned on her parents' recorder. When the screen lit up, the image of her mother Luna appeared on it. She was wearing the white researcher uniform of Aetheris civilization with that transparent sphere in front of her. She smiled and said, "Ah, Lumen, look, in this way the entropy values of consciousness and the physical body can be balanced. From now on, there will never be a choice of either immortality or death again." The image suddenly froze and turned into a snowflake. Kaelen pressed the play button several times, but there was no response. It was the light and shadow soldiers outside interfering with the signal. She turned off the recorder, picked up the core fragment of her mother star, and the blue light from the fragment shone on her face like a thin layer of tears.
I'll start researching right now.
She placed the fragments beside the recorder.
In 3 days, I'm sure I can make something that can save Stellar.
Lin Ye nodded and walked over to Amu, applying the herbs of stellar descendants to his wound. Stellar Bud leaned back in the chair, looked at the blue light on the table, and whispered.
Kaelen, is the sea on Mother Star also blue like this?
Kaelen turned around and saw that the girl's eyes were reflecting fragmented light, as if they contained the entire starry sky. She recalled what her father had written in the recorder. The significance of technology is not to make civilization perfect, but to enable every child to see the starry sky they want to see.
Yes, much better.
Just then, the screen in the laboratory suddenly lit up, not the recorder screen, but the interface of Eternal Order StarNet, which popped up a line of white words without any emotion.
StarNet Core Command. ELA Administrator leads the Data Sweeper team to immediately head to the slum of Critical Star Domain to capture the target Kaelen. Priority: highest.
In the lower right corner of the screen, a small number was flashing, 734. Kaelen looked at that number and suddenly remembered what old Kui had said. In the shadow of Eternal Order, there are also people who want to see Stardust. She didn't know who this 734 was, but she knew that Orville's knife had been placed around the neck of Critical Star Domain. The core fragments of her mother star in her hand and the technology left by her parents were the only shields that could stop this knife. However, this shield might first stab her all over her body.